do a follow-up after we had the meeting last workshop on the comp plan to discuss some areas of concern and where we've gotten in addressing those. Some areas are still some information is being pulled together to get those fixed, and Ryan, he can probably address that as he's had direct conversations with consultants. Other areas have been addressed, and in front of you, you've got a packet that sort of goes through the specific pages in the document that were of concern, and that I'll turn it over to Ryan and let him do some of the follow-up on some of the specifics there.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Cable. My name is Ryan Sherman, Southwestern Commission Executive Director. And you all will recall that when Corridor K reached an impasse, a lot of those federal entities, such as federal highways and state entities, such as NCDOT, came to the region and said, we would like some help, and how important is this project to you? And as a region, this project's very important. As a county, this project's really important. So we said, what do you all need? And they said, well, we need you to do some more planning, which may in turn provide a purpose and need for the project. But right now, we're being questioned whether there's even a purpose and need for the project anymore. And we've hashed out those arguments over and over again, but we saw that as the only path forward. So we engaged, and they provided the resources for us to hire consultants. We produced the regional vision, which was the opt-in effort that you may recall. That was kind of looking at all the counties together and trying to find commonality. And there, our counties are really different, but there are some areas that we're very much alike in culture, natural assets, etc. So all that bubbled up. We also did a transportation plan and a comprehensive plan in Cherokee and Graham counties. Those were the two remaining counties in the region that did not have comp plans and did not have transportation plans. Since then, you all have adopted your transportation plan. Cherokee County has adopted their comp plan and their transportation plan. So this is kind of the last piece of the puzzle here, the comp plan. This is a high-level document. It's kind of a wish list. It has a lot of ideas in it, a lot of public input went into it. And there's a lot of recommendations in here, if we choose to implement something. But really, it will go through the county commissioners, most of these items, because entities will need financial support. So it's, there are other entities such as the great organizations, nonprofits, that can carry out portions of the work. I know they're working on a tourism plan. I don't know if that's complete yet. It's complete. So that was a recommendation in there, and that's a perfect example of a recommendation being in there, but you all not spearheading that recommendation. Your health department may take on some of these recommendations around healthy living, diabetes control, etc. So there's a lot of recommendations in there, and I stressed that during the last meeting. Don't be overwhelmed by the amount of recommendations in this plan. It may take $1 billion to implement, and so it's not likely, but it's a smorgasbord. During the last meeting, we went through the comp plan, and we kind of dissected it, looked at the key chapters in it, I guess, and you all made some recommendations, staff made some recommendations, and I'm just going to go through those very quickly because those were most of those were updated in the document. The land stewardship and ownership, showing all the TVA lands, that's getting fixed. Currently, community facilities, we added some other facilities that were lacking in the plan. The infrastructure map was hard to read because we have limited infrastructure in the Robbinsville, Fontana Village, and Lake Centilla areas. So we're still trying to figure out a good way to display that at the county level. We might try to do some insets still. The problem is we don't have like Lake Centilla's infrastructure mapped. We don't have Fontana Robbinsville's had infrastructure for a long time, and the state did do some mapping, and it's very antiquated, so that's kind of what's shown in the plan there. So I'm not quite sure how to display that. The important thing is that we acknowledge in the plan that there is infrastructure in those other communities. So we may not have to bring that associated with that, but we'll see what we can do. Natural heritage areas and areas of cultural or natural significance. That was an old survey. Graham County is currently being surveyed, as you recall. Me presenting at the last meeting and not knowing the age of the data, whether there's private land layers mixed in with that, or you all made recommendations to move that. That's no longer in the plan. The acidic rock was potential for acidic rock. We removed those maps also in the plan. Demographics, your county manager provided some updated language on the Pies and company purchase of Stanley Furniture property, so that's been updated in the plan. Unemployment and employment status, we're still working on that. We're going to have to do some of the work on this. The consultant produced the plan, they finished the plan, and they said that the data that's in the plan was accurate when they concluded their analysis. So I guess it's up to us and you all to try to find updates to the data. We think it's critical now. You know, the unemployment rate, sure, it goes up and down. It's roughly where it was when they reported it. So those types of metrics would probably just the important thing are the recommendations. Transportation section. We made some minor changes around we make statements that your roads are operating well, that we label that as a capacity perspective and not as a potential for closure perspective. So we know that landslide's kind of been cut off before. So just being clear with the language, making sure that the consultants are clear with the language in the plan when they make those general statements. And I think Greg and I have caught most of those areas where they made general statements that weren't substantiated and further clarified. Otherwise, people could get misled when they read the document. We've made several changes relating back to your CTP, your Comprehensive Transportation Plan, since that's an adopted document. This plan needs to reflect transportation improvements. We also noted that the Juts Creek route was just thrown out there merely as a way to show, environmental advocacy groups, these federal regulatory environmental agencies, that Graham County is willing to look at other alternatives. It was kind of a token of, in the spirit of compromise, or that we're willing to be collaborative to find alternative solutions. So that was, that language was added to the document. Not that the county wants a new facility going up Juts Creek, just that we are open to hearing other ideas and other alternatives. And that was that came forth in the transportation plan, and we just want the comp plan to reference that. And then there's some agencies that no longer exist that were identified in the plan. We're still cleaning up that. And that wraps up what we covered at the last meeting. So we've integrated, I'd say, 90% of the changes that we recommended that we were able to get. We just got the document back at about 11 a.m. this morning. I hoped to have that to you last Friday, as I had promised. I apologize that we couldn't get that back in time. So now, what we'd like to do, I think, this evening is I want to walk you through the recommendations. Because we've kind of covered all the content, the context, and all that type of information. But remember, as we talk about these recommendations, you all can't implement any of those. That would be impossible. So as I work through these, I think if you strongly object to a recommendation here, I think that would be an appropriate role for your board to play. Because you're the policy board, and you're kind of setting the stage for how this plan looks. Because ultimately, we would like for you to adopt this plan. These regulatory agencies are excited to get their hands on your comprehensive plan so that they can move forward with the planning of corridor A. So this document, there's quite a bit of importance being put on this document. So if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just jump right into the recommendations. The pages that Mr. Cable provided to you were the pages that we recommended that there be changes, and most of those changes are reflected on the pages that you received. So do you have any questions about what we discussed at the last meeting? Did you have any other changes that you want to bring up, or should we go ahead and dive into the recommendations, which is really the meat of the plan?
One of the things, right, we touched a little bit on the demographics. We were very discover any type of demographics for the age group that assists us in recommending and what the might be for issues.
So you're asking whether demographics were available or by age group to put in the plan?
Yeah.
Okay. That's readily available. If you would like to see that in the plan, you can definitely.
Because I remember, looking over it and stuff, and I didn't know if that was something that needed to be updated, or because I didn't know when that was, if that was the 2010 census when that was done.
I think it was done through the 2010 census.
Yeah, I think I've got to understand your question now. The census is updated every 10 years.
Yeah.
And we do a sampling, and it's called the American Community Survey, ACS, is what it's referred to. And I believe these numbers are from the 2011 ACS. There's a lot of lag time on these numbers.
When I seen that, I just wondered if that was, updated, or if that was currently, what we had.
Typically, we have to use a lot of demographic data as we help all of our communities secure grants in the region. And typically, we use 2010. We were using 2000 until 2010 came. We used 2010 until 2020 rolls around.
It looks like their most recent ACS survey was 2011. That's information.
We'll make a note of that. And if we get any more updated data, I'm willing to combine that
But I
data.
don't know if they used the 2010 census for
Do the numbers look reasonable to you that are in there? Or do they?
Well, in a way, yes, in a way, no. I hate to say this, but we're getting younger every day.
All right, well, we'll follow up on that. Ms. Chris, will you take notes? Okay, so okay, thank you. All right, any other general questions about kind of the context of the report? And then I'll jump into the recommendations. I think the easiest way will be to just read through these. It's going to take a little bit of time because I think there's about 50 of them. But I'm just going to read through them until I see this or a hold up. If you want to discuss something further, make it be known. Okay, so it's broken down into the sections that the report follows. So the first section, almost there, sorry. Okay, land stewardship and community facilities. So a lot of these are just going to be general statements. And how you get there is really up to you all. But these are recommendations. Preserve rural character in rural residential areas. The rural landscape is one of the county's most valuable assets. Encourage growth in the areas shown on the investment guide. Those areas are primarily your major transportation corridors, Fontana Village, the greater Robbinsville area, Lake Santilla area, and then there's even some areas out 143 that are highlighted on that map. It basically follows your main transportation corridors. Support the implementation of the Reimagining Robbinsville plan. This was a plan that I believe the GRADE organization conducted in concert with the town of Robbinsville. Support the redevelopment of downtown Robbinsville and the bypass, and they've provided a concept that's in the report, which includes public and private improvements, housing improvements, shopping improvements. Support the revitalization of the area around the Stokoe Center. There's also a concept plan that they operate through Stokoe. Encourage subdivisions and other cluster development types. Encourage developers to provide a variety of affordable home types. Anybody who's moved to Western North Carolina knows that this is a challenge in all of our counties. Promote awareness of the challenges of developing on steep slopes and discuss with emergency services how to provide reasonable emergency access to such locations. While steep slope development regulations are not desired at this point, awareness should be promoted to ensure that residents are not put in danger. Seek opportunities for sustainable harvesting of timber on public and institutional lands. New opportunities should be explored for sustainable logging. Preserve existing farmland and support existing farms and their products. Encourage annexation consistent with the investment areas shown on the investment map, which I don't think that communities can annex right now, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Cable, I'm not sure if you know.
I think there is a process right now.
Preserve historic buildings and encourage their rehabilitation when feasible. It talks about the importance of historic structures. Consider imposing fees on sewer expansion to incentivize growth in desired areas. And that concludes that section. And then there's actual projects under the land stewardship and community section. Work with communities to draft small area plans with a focus on Snowbird, Stokoe, and Robbinsville. Create a capital improvement plan to more efficiently plan and manage infrastructure improvements. That's planning long range for your capital needs. Explore the extension of sewer lines from Robbinsville to the town of Lake Santilla. Upgrade the town of Fontana Dam water system. Adopt design guidelines for central Robbinsville. These guidelines can help ensure that building materials, facade design, site design are more appropriate. It's up to the town, obviously. So you're seeing a lot of these recommendations are going to be outside your jurisdiction, but they're all part of the comp plan because there was a lot of stakeholders that developed this. Keep civic buildings and uses in the core of Robbinsville. These civic buildings can anchor a downtown and bring people to your shops and restaurants. Pursue funding to help historic property owners keep buildings in a good state of repair. Those historic tax credits have been under debate at the General Assembly lately in Raleigh, so we'll see how that shakes out. Right now, there's not a lot of incentive to help folks. Repair the stone wall in downtown Robbinsville, a very specific improvement. Create the Young America Outdoor Recreation Park, which I believe county is pursuing.
So, everyone,
Explore the creation of a public fairground. These fairgrounds can serve as an entry feature into Robbinsville. Again, a lot of this stuff is extremely costly, pending the county and the town's ability to seek grant funds. Construct an addition to the existing sheriff's office to create a new town hall. That's Robbinsville. Construct a town square. That's a concept for Robbinsville as part of the downtown Robbinsville conceptual plan. And there's a lot in here about the Robbinsville conceptual plan. Passing through all the graphics here and getting to the exhibit. Hang on one second, please. Okay, now the next section, nature, health, and culture policies. Capitalize on the county's natural and scenic resources as its biggest economic driver. Talks about branding the county for tourism-based and adventure recreation type businesses. Provide recreation opportunities within a short drive or walking distance of every community. Improve water quality through improved infrastructure. Talks about improving the Robbinsville area's water supply and fixing failing septic systems and extending sewer to these failed areas. Use the most up-to-date environmental best practices as future transportation facilities are developed. And really those federal environmental regulatory agencies do a fairly good job at that, such as U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Army Corps of Engineers, DNR, etc. Encourage site planning that respects the natural topography. Incorporate Cherokee and Grand Heritage into future public works projects. Those were some policies to consider. And provide better healthcare access and expand the types of services available. In the actual projects, pursue the creation of a new visitor center. Improve the connection between Robbinsville and Lake Santilla with a greenway. Boat landing, tubing, etc. Conduct a regular analysis of hotspots of poor health to track how conditions are changing over time. Educate the public and contractors about erosion and sediment control regulations to improve water quality. Make sure county handles inspections on sites over a half acre, I believe. Collaborate with the Eastern Band of Cherokee and the Skinner community to identify areas for preservation and interpretation, including the Western Museum. There's stuff in here about community gardens, connect U.S. Forest Service trails with communities, and work with NCDOT to remove a log for controlled public access as a tourism product. How much more time do we have?
we've got 5 minutes.
Okay. So the policies are just considerations. I'm going to just focus on the projects in the last few categories. Economic development projects, create a consistent brand identity for Graham County focused on economic and tourism development. Recruit retail and commercial services based on demand identified in the market analysis, which is in the report. Build a small business entrepreneur support system, which is like a small business resource center to work with your startup companies. Coordinate with the community college to align training, such as woodworking, machinery, early childhood education. Take advantage of the high-speed internet point of presence in Robbinsville. It talks about trying to expand cellular coverage and other types of infrastructure. Coordinate marketing efforts among local and regional destinations. So that's, working with your neighbors. Build marketing collateral to promote Grant County, including the web presence for which you've already done. So, create and implement a county wayfinding signage plan. That's kind of coordinating people in the county to your destinations. Reestablish the Chamber of Commerce to work jointly with the Travel and Tourism. Consider a flat business license fee to support business development efforts. Create a countywide tourism development plan. And then the transportation section. I think this is the last section. Complete Corridor K improvements from Socoa to Robbinsville, and it's Corridor K. Sections B and C is described in the transportation plan. Work with state and federal agencies to develop a strategy to address the need for study and completion of the section of Corridor K, A section, which would go from Robbinsville to Cherokee County, without delaying progress on the section to Socoa. Create a roundabout at intersection of Highway 143 and US 129 with a central fountain, flagpole, or water feature. Roundabouts typically cost around $350,000, I believe, for basic roundabouts. In order for DOT to make that type of investment in your community, when an intersection might already be functioning properly, is not very likely, because I've seen that in most of our other communities. So it would require a significant contribution from either the town or the county to ever pull something like that.
He's talking to citizens and showing them this picture, I've gotten 100% pullback. Nothing.
Is that consensus with the board? I'm seeing foreheads. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're for it, you need to turn off the first exit. Why? You'll lose yourself. You'll run into yourself.
One end, take over the other.
I would call that consensus.
That's the worthless thing that I've ever seen.
We'll remove that recommendation.
Thank you.
We're almost finished here. Construct new streets and realign existing streets as shown on the conceptual plan. That's all within Robbinsville, and that's make new connections where feasible. Consolidate curb cuts and extend the medians on the bypass. I don't know how popular those have been. The islands in Robbinsville and Robbinsville bypass. I'm seeing a lot of heads shaking. The horizontal position.
Don't believe that's the sign, that's the sign, about once a week or twice.
And I think they got a little ahead of themselves on the last recommendation, construct a parking deck in downtown Robbinsville. I think it'll be some fun for it.
We really won't have a top. So Macon County, Cherokee County, Grant County.
And I believe that's all. And then all those projects are listed in here, so we'll strip out the few that are transportation related that we requested. That really concludes my summary. I mean, you guys have looked at this several times, multiple iterations. I think it's getting pretty close to being to your liking. So what I recommend to this board would be for you to send this now, after we make those features in this crisp document. Send it back to the comp planning committee. Let them review it. If you have any changes to present back to you all for your consideration. Hopefully we can get this wrapped up.
Has Robbinsville actually, they adopted their revitalization of Robbinsville? They adopted that?
The reimagined.
Reimagined Robbinsville.
they had changes there. I was trying to remember what exactly what it was.
I'll follow up with Robbinsville on that plan to make sure that you all are